Welcome in, guys, to One Piece chapter 1082. My name is Sai, and today we're just going to talk about the chapter a little bit and just dissect it. So with that being the case, let's just hop right into it. So first up, we have the cover page, which is another fan requested one. We've had 3 of these in a row so far, and what's most notable about it is that 2 out of the 3 actually include Big Mom homies. They are fan requests, so I don't want to think too deep about it, but I wonder if this is Oda somehow hinting that Big Mom might play a role relatively soon, or even just come out and declare that she is alive, in fact. On a weird side note, this cover page reminded me that we actually haven't seen cotton candy lover Chopper actually eating cotton candy in quite some time. So now, on to the chapter. We have the death of T-Bone, Vice Admiral T-Bone, a death so abhorrent it sent the world and Marines into a shock. And it also sent me into a shock too. Actually, this is one of the few times where I've read the spoilers before the chapter, and I stopped and I was like, wait, is this real? Am I reading this right? Is T-Bone actually dead? Turns out he is. My man got done in by an old man, in fact, a starving old man, as we find out later in this chapter. T-Bone got cooked, and I am wondering how he got cooked. Is it medium rare? Is it well done? Is it just medium? I have no clue. But if I had to go on some crazy headcanon spin to the story, I would say that T-Bone let himself get killed. So hear me out. If you guys remember this character back from Water 7, he was a great guy. He would always risk himself and give himself up for other people. So if an old starving man comes by and says, hey, I need to kill you, T-Bone, my family can't eat without your bounty, I actually can see T-Bone giving his own life to the guy. We gotta remember that T-Bone isn't exactly a weak Vice Admiral. I mean, even Zoro acknowledged him back during Water 7. He ran almost as fast as the Puffing Tom. He cut Sea Kings in half. He wouldn't just die to an old man. Even if this old man stabbed him in the back with a kitchen knife that the old man probably can't afford, he shouldn't die. So I really do believe that T-Bone gave his own life to help the starving man feed his family. That's just the kind of guy that T-Bone is. Just to sing his praises for a second, but T-Bone, at least for me, you know, a lot of people look at T-Bone and they're like, wow, this is a throwaway character. Somebody needed to die. I'm glad it's T-Bone. You know what? I agree. We haven't seen T-Bone in many, many years, so that's a very fair point. But for me, T-Bone was special because throughout the series, up until Water 7, a lot of Marines we met were really scummy. They weren't the best of people. T-Bone was the exception. He had a high rank. He was really kind to his subordinates. He genuinely wanted to help people. He also had a really cool fighting style. He was like, oh, I hate crooked men, so that's why I don't do crooked swordplay. And then he does like his little flying slash, and I was like, yo, like this guy's dope. He even earned Zoro's respect for a second. That is the character that T-Bone was, so it's bittersweet. I'm glad that the story's progressing. I'm glad that Cross Guild impact is this strong. But bro, like, at least give me a panel of my man. At least let me say goodbye to him. Yeah, no, it's definitely sad. And it makes sense also as to why the world government and Navy don't want to say how T-Bone died. Because if they said that a civilian killed him, then like Sengoku later on says, it would extremely demotivate a lot of Marine soldiers, and not to mention, civilians would read this and be like, yo, if old man Starvalone could kill T-Bone, then I could kill somebody else too. So yeah, I understand why they don't want to disclose what happened here, and I'm glad that Sengoku is taking this seriously. He said, yo, like we need to do something about Cross Guild. Yo, we need to handle them ASAP. So it does make me wonder if they are going to send a heavy hitter to Buggy's doorstep. Maybe Fujitora, maybe even Green Bull, since Green Bull has been doing the most work recently. I personally really like the Fujitora route a lot, and that's simply because if he were to show up, the person who would fight him and go head on with him would be Mihawk. I mean, first up, he's the Marine Hunter, and second off, they're swordsmen, right? These are top tier swordsmen. People look at Mihawk and say, man, I wish he had feats. But realistically, who would he fight in the series that the Straw Hats wouldn't already take down themselves? I think I think Fujitora is a really good option for him. So yeah, that is what I'm hoping that Sengoku and Oda himself are cooking up in the background. But then again, things could get derailed because Sengoku is very shocked to hear the next bit of news, which is the fact that Garp has left a few days ago to go to Hachinosu to rescue Kobe, and not to mention, but he also took some sword members along with Suru's granddaughter. They're obviously very shocked about this, and I kinda wish I knew where their headspace was at. Will they go after Garp? Will they go after Cross Guild? Or will they just stay there at Navy HQ? I would love to hear what you guys have to say about that one. Personally, I really hope that Sengoku and Suru go off to Hachinosu. And that's simply because if Garp is there, and if he truly does lose there somehow, then the two people that should be present, in my opinion, should be his oldest running comrades, Sengoku and Suru. So yeah, I would love to see it, and like I said, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Does Sengoku actually make his move here? And now, we cut over to Empty Bluffs Island, where we meet the guy that cooked the T-Bone steak. We have Post-Mortem Malone here, and he's collecting T-Bone's bounty. And I'm not the type of guy to judge a One Piece character by their appearance, but I don't think this guy's that strong. And that's one of the main reasons why I do believe that T-Bone gave his own bounty to help this man's family. But as somebody on my Discord mentioned, an easy way to help this man, rather than T-Bone giving his own life, would have just been to give this man money. T-Bone is a Vice Admiral. I'm sure he makes the big bucks. You're telling me that T-Bone's potential best way to help this man and his family isn't just to give them money, but to give them his head? That's still kind of crazy. We hate to see it still, but yeah, this guy's got the fat bounty stacks now, and even if he dies, he's just happy that his family will get to eat the next day. So it is kinda wholesome in the end, and he does have Buggy's protection now as well, since Buggy is an emperor. And speaking of emperors, every emperor has a ship, and that is when we are revealed to Cross Guild's new flagship. It doesn't have a name yet, but it looks very similar to Big Mom's ship. Yeah, this ship is something else, and like I said, it looks like Big Mom's ship, right? But it also reminds me of the Thousand Sunny, because it does have the sun on the side of the ship, and it also has Buggy's hair, which kind of looks like the Thousand Sunny's sun rays. And not to mention, it kind of reminds me of Blackbeard's ship, because it has the Cross Guild swords that does the X, and Blackbeard's ship, the Saber of Zebek, also has a almost similar pattern. But yeah, this ship is interesting. I really like it, and who knows, maybe if Buggy puts enough love and care into it, we might get a mini Buggy Klabotterman. Obviously though, Crocodile and Mihawk aren't the happiest about the design, to say the least, and they end up taking it out on Buggy, which I think is a gag that just might never get old. So yeah, Mihawk and Crocodile start conversing, and Crocodile brings up the Utopia plan once again. And he wants to create a nation that is strong enough to where no nation will mess with his. And his goal back in the day was to obtain Pluton to achieve this Utopia plan. Which does make me wonder if they will make a move on Pluton, Poseidon, or Uranus pretty soon. But of course, this gets completely derailed because Buggy starts memeing on them, saying, wait, power? Wealth? Are you guys even pirates? Like, bro, like, Buggy's giving them life lessons. Real pirates don't go after things like that. They go after something much bigger. And to lead up to Buggy's grand reveal, he gets a little flashback back to Logtown, back when Goldie Roger was being executed. And we've actually seen this flashback before, but this time we actually get to see it from Buggy's perspective. And man, does it drop a brand new perspective on Buggy's character entirely. We learn that the reason why he was so upset at Shanks wasn't because of his lost treasure map. It wasn't because Buggy ate a devil fruit. It's actually because Shanks didn't want to become the next Pirate King. He didn't want to carry on their captain's wishes. And I was like, yo, Buggy is actually kind of dope. Well, you know, granted, I always loved Buggy, but this chapter made me like him a lot more. He actually wanted to go to Laughtale with Shanks. He believed in Shanks. But when Shanks turned down that offer, Buggy just left. He ran, and he didn't want to say his true feelings, so he instead said, hey, you made me lose my treasure map. I'll never forgive you, Shanks. But deep down, he always wanted Shanks to succeed. So yeah, it's a really nice backstory, and it really does make me wonder why Shanks changed his mind. Because Shanks and Buggy did promise each other that they would go to Laughtale before Roger passed away. But after Roger passed away, Shanks changed his mind. What happened there? So, back to Buggy. He drops a hell of a page. He says that he too wants to become Pirate King. At first he believed in Shanks, but now he believes in himself. They have Cross Guild behind them. He could actually do it. And I love what he does here. He almost mimics Goldie Roger's lines. He says power, wealth, and then obviously they pan to power being Mihawk and wealth being Crocodile, and it's more or less implied that fame is Buggy, and he's like, dude, we have all of this, so why not reach an even greater goal? Why not get all of it together and find the One Piece? He declares this to all of Cross Guild, and much to Mihawk and Crocodile's dismay, they now have to go along with this. And I know what you might be saying, wait, why would Crocodile and Mihawk have to follow this? Well, this is Chairman Buggy. Yes, Crocodile and Mihawk rule Cross Guild behind the scenes, but Buggy is their president. If Buggy says to do something, and then two executives don't, Cross Guild might just dissolve right there. They might just break out into a civil war. So yeah, Crocodile and Mihawk are having their arms bent, and they just have to go along with this. And it makes sense as to why they don't want to, right? Imagine it from Crocodile's perspective. They have no planning, like he says, but Crocodile doesn't even care about the One Piece that much. He just wants to make money and have a cool nation. Mihawk, the guy was actually chilling. He wanted to be a warlord just to hang out on the side. He had the world's strongest swordsman title already. He was waiting for people to roll up to him. And now Mihawk has to roll up to Luffy. He has to roll up to Blackbeard, to Shanks. Obviously, they're not super thrilled with this plan. It's like they just got drafted into the army. Buggy ends up reassuring them a little bit by saying, hey, we don't have to necessarily fight them. We just have to outwit them. We just need the poneglyphs. And that makes a lot of sense. Buggy isn't a Dr. Vegapunk when it comes to planning things and his geniusness, but Buggy is a smart character, and he constantly keeps on falling up. And I'm really curious to see how far that will take him. And we do have to remember that Buggy is Oda's favorite character, and I just want to see how far plot armor and convenience will take this man. He's almost like a second MC in a weird way, right? If Oda was doing a comedy, Buggy would definitely be the main character. As far as Buggy obtaining the road poneglyphs though, that is really interesting because Buggy should know where they are, right? He was with Roger when he obtained them. So going to Wano, going to Zou, going to Whole Cake Island, it shouldn't be that much of a problem, especially with the Yonkos more or less out of the way, right? We haven't seen Big Mom or Kaido in a hot minute. So yeah, those poneglyphs are more or less up for grabs. If Crocodile and Mihawk, along with Galdino and Mr. One and the rest of the gang show up to Whole Cake Island, who's gonna stop them? I'm sure Katakuri and Cracker would put up a really good struggle, but let's be real here, there's nobody left on Zou, Wano, or Whole Cake Island that could beat Mihawk, right? Mihawk and Crocodile and an entire army of Cross Guild people. Yeah, no, these guys might as well have those 3 road poneglyphs. They're only behind in terms of time. But in terms of time, though, Buggy might also have an advantage with the 4th road poneglyph, because Buggy, as well as Shanks, of course, have been around for quite some time. So if Buggy knows who the man with burn marks are, then he might be able to catch up rather quickly. Who knows, maybe even Buggy leads Luffy and the rest of them to this man. But yeah, there's a lot to take in here, and geez, geez Louise. am I excited to see what Cross Guild is going to do next. But now, enough of Cross Guild, we go over to the Revolutionary Army. Oda is giving everybody a little shine in the spotlight. And with the Revolutionaries, we have 4 new vice captains being introduced. We have Ushianu, Ahiru, Gamble, and Giron. And respectively, they are the vice captains of the Northeast, South, and West Blue Commanders. With this being the case though, one thing that kind of stood out to me, or a question that popped into my head, was if every high tier member of the RA has a vice captain, then did Kuma have somebody? Because we know that Sabo has Hack and Koala, and we know Ivankov has Scissor Dude. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So does Kuma have somebody that he could call a vice captain? Or do you think he was just working under Dragon, since he probably needs one as well? But yeah, that was just an interesting tidbit. And these character designs for the vice captains are wacky, to say the least. They're definitely Revolutionary Army combatants. So these dudes are all just chilling off the coast, and then they see a ship approaching. And that ship carries the one and only Flame Emperor Sabo. And there's a lot of dialogue here kind of to flesh out the characters, but the main dialogue that I thought was fascinating was when Ahiru said, "Hey Sabo, I was just about to shoot you," because they were debating if it was an enemy or an ally. And I was like, wait, does her mechanical arm actually shoot out laser beams? Because when you look at the panel, her arm, or her hand, is kind of smoking a little bit. So it's like, whoa, I can't wait to see what gadgets that Lindbergh cooked up here. So now that Sabo has made it back ashore, we have some people a little bit upset that Sabo didn't contact him. Sabo misleading them into thinking that he was dead. But Sabo says, wait, guys, come on, I beeped 3 times. What do you mean? I was being tapped into. And I went back to chapter 1060, and he's not lying, he did. So after, we have Koala saying Sabo-kun, we see a ... or it looks like Morse code almost, and it's like, wait, Oda gave us a hint all along. Granted, I'm sure everybody thought that Sabo was going to be alive, but the fact that he actually dropped that hint there is pretty cool, and I'm not too sure where that originates in. Maybe this does have some real world references to it, and if it does, please enlighten me in the comments down below. So yeah, we go over to the next room, and we see that Dragon, Ivankov, and Sabo are gathered, and Dragon says, hey, Kuma, yeah, I'm kind of sorry about that one. He went back to Marie Joie. We didn't know that he had that programming. But Sabo says, wait, forget Kuma. Right now, I need to tell you guys about what really happened at Marie Joie. And I'm like, yo, Oda has been cooking the past couple of chapters. We might actually get the flashback now. And if we do get the flashback of Marie Joie, the one thing that I do think will happen is that we will go back to the Straw Hats on Egghead Island, because you have to remember that Bonnie actually said that she wanted to tell Luffy about Sabo and a little bit about Marie Joie as well. So I feel like these backstories could happen in tandem. We have Sabo telling Dragon, and then we could have Bonnie telling Luffy. And now, on to the comments from the previous video. First up, we have, would there be a chance for Marco to join Cross Guild? And maybe Hancock, Weevil, and his mom, Stussy. I think so. As far as Cross Guild goes, I think there's a chance for everyone to join. How big the chance is really varies. Marco, I'm not too sure about. I feel like Hancock and Weevil are pretty up there on my list though, simply because it's made of former warlords right now, right? We have Buggy, former warlord, Crocodile, Mihawk. I feel like Hancock, Weevil, Law, everyone else who was previously a warlord has a pretty decent shot. And we do have to remember, if anybody wants to join Cross Guild, they can. We had an old man literally just hop on board and say, hey, I killed T-Bone, and then they're like, hey, you now have Emperor Buggy's protection, right? So I think if that old man gets a pass and he gets to be led on board the crew, or at least fly under the Buggy flag, then I think anybody can. Next one says, Neomads may end up helping Cross Guild with their weapons and technology because they need more firepower. I even think Neomads will help Law. And I think that's very fair as well. Neomads is one of those groups that I feel like will play a part at the end of the story. And the real question with a lot of these characters, even like Crocodile and Mihawk, is simply the question of how will they end up at the end of the story, right? Because they were just chilling up until this chapter, but when Buggy declared that he wants to go after the One Piece, he immediately propelled Cross Guild to a different stage. So yeah, any character that we think will play a major role in the finale will probably be there with Cross Guild or the Straw Hat Fleet. T-Bone dying is a reference to the world government getting T-boned by all the major players jumping in at the same time. Epic foreskinning by Goda as usual, bro. But why T-Bone though? It could have been somebody else. No! The next one says, what if Gecko Moria and Perona join Cross Guild? With Perona being close to Mihawk and them putting bounties and possibly executing Marines, Moria would have corpses and more waves of securing shadows, and they could use Thriller Bark as the prison holding if they need one, since I believe it's empty now. It'd be a nice twist, since Moria would need a place to be safe from Blackbeard. Wait a minute! If Moria brought back corpses, and that old man brought back T-Bone, could we see a zombified T-Bone? Hey, it might not be too late. Hey, T-Bone fans unite! There might be something there if Gecko Moria actually joins. You know what? New headcanon, new headcanon. Alright, final comment says, watch Buggy unlock Conqueror's Haki, and his devil fruit turns out to be some busted mythical human fruit and turns on Crocodile as the true emperor of Cross Guild. Just a fun theory, but you never know with One Piece these days. So here's the thing. With Conqueror's Haki, a lot of people, like myself, believe that Conqueror's Haki is something you're born with, because that's what we first learned back on Amazon Lily. But as we moved on in the story, a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but some people have been starting to have the idea that maybe to unlock Conqueror's Haki, you just need ambition. You need that conqueror's spirit within you, and then you unlock it, right? There's two camps, and I can see both sides. But if that is the case, if you really just need that ambition, that drive to unlock Conqueror's Haki, then what Buggy displayed in this chapter is nothing short of a conqueror's spirit. And if he does unlock Conqueror's Haki, I think that's very fair. Because so far, every conqueror we've had in the story has been an overwhelmingly powerful one, right? We have Rayleigh, Shanks, we have Kaido, Big Mom, Luffy. Like, we got nothing but monsters with Conqueror's Haki. We need, I don't want to call them weak, but we need the lesser tier of fighters like Buggy to get Conqueror's Haki. I want to see what that's like, you know? Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something that you could only do with Conqueror's Haki if you are lesser in fighting capabilities, to put it nicely. But hey, with that being said, hey, thank you guys so much for stopping by, checking out this video, and staying up until this point. I really freaking appreciate it. If you guys have a moment of time, please consider commenting, subbing, and liking down below. That would really mean the world, especially with this being a new channel. I know I say that over and over again. It's like a broken record, but I just do want to remind you guys that this is a brand new YouTube channel. So if you want to stay up to date with the latest One Piece spoilers, then stay tuned. And also, since there is going to be a break next week, I'm probably going to have a couple of discussions with some other YouTubers, and if you have anybody you want me to talk to, let me know down below as well. And with that being said, I will catch you guys when the next chapter of One Piece drops. Peace out, y'all.